What is up, my friends? It is Saturday night's late night news roundup here on Anfield Agenda, and we are going to be talking about the transfer chaos that is ensuing around the situation with Isak, Sesko, and of course Darwin Nunez. So I'm going to take you through the very latest on where we are, what the journalists have been saying, and maybe what we can expect over the next few days. Now, our plan is to take tomorrow night off live streaming, but if something develops, you know I'll be straight on here. But the plan is to just put out a news video tomorrow evening and take the evening off from live streaming, which means I will be back on Monday at 4 p.m. for a back-to-back watch-along of Liverpool's 2 games against Athletic Club Bilbao. But if you want to transfer gossip straight to your phone before we get on to make content about it, well, scan that QR code there on the screen, and that will take you to the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp community, where we hope we'll keep you right up to date with all the latest incomings and outgoings. Right. Let's move to talk about Isak for a second, and Sky Sports reporter Keith Downey has confirmed that Isak has now landed back in Newcastle following his, well-published spell over at Real Sociedad training on his own. He is expected to resume training with Eddie Howe's Newcastle on Monday, unless, Liverpool have something to say about that. So, what do I think is going to happen here? I would not be at all surprised to see him dig his heels in, and Liverpool maybe try to put an offer in before Monday to see if they can't stop an awkward situation there for Isak. I don't know what happens when he goes to Newcastle's training ground on Monday, whether he has a meeting with the manager, heads off again, whether he trains separately. I'd be guessing at this point. But I do know that Liverpool are readying another significant offer, hopefully one more in tune with what Newcastle are looking for. We also will move on to speak about Benjamin Sesko and that whole roller coaster in a moment. But honestly, I think Newcastle will be best served at this point, and probably all the way through, with selling Isak. Now, I get that they have to get a player in, but he doesn't want to be there. It's getting toxic, and it'll give Newcastle a chance to strengthen before the window closes. So I think this ends up with Isak at Liverpool. I'm above 90% that happens, but I don't know when Newcastle will be able to get their transfer targets through the door. Now, on them, a couple of things at play. They want Yohan Wissa still from Brentford. He has, I think, refused to train and not take part in their pre-season game. He wants to move to Newcastle. He wants the allure of Champions League football, and he feels that he's had broken promises from Brentford. Will Newcastle get to the £40 million that Brentford are asking for? No idea. Couldn't tell you on that one. But he would be seen as the Callum Wilson replacement, who, of course, has left Newcastle at the end of his contract. Now, we think Callum Wilson is going to join on at West Ham, but I think that's still to be confirmed. So that would be one forward through the door if they could get him done. But the big target is, of course, Benjamin Sesko. And tonight, there are mixed reports on that, and I'll move on to that one in a second. But before we do, a little bit on Darwin Nunez. DiMarzio has reported that AC Milan are now making an attempt to sign Darwin, as the Liverpool striker is now their top target. I pause for a second because an Italian club's top target doesn't really fill me full of confidence that we're going to get an offer that is one that we will accept. We've already seen the situation with Napoli play out, where they talked to Darwin for a couple of weeks, they sold him the vision. Antonio Conte talked about where he wanted to utilise him, but lowballed with the offer and it didn't go anywhere. So I hope for Darwin we're not having another situation where he's pitched the vision by the Rossoneri and they don't come up with the funds. Liverpool probably do have to be a little bit more realistic on the valuation of Darwin Nunez, but we also know that Al Hilal are watching this situation and have put their cards on the table to tell Darwin Nunez that they'd love to sign him. So Liverpool always have that, but the situation is going to come down to what Darwin wants and, of course, what money is on offer. So this one will be one that will go on for a little bit longer, I think. Now, Keith Downey and David Ornstein have put out sort of conflicting reports around Newcastle's offer for Benjamin Sesko. That offer was €75 million and €5 million in add-ons, which is pretty much the valuation that Leipzig have been asking for. The report from David Ornstein said that they have turned down the offer from Newcastle, but Keith Downey and some other journalists are saying, no, it's not being turned down, it's not being accepted, but it's still under negotiation. This is what Keith Downey had to say. Leipzig and Newcastle remain in talks over the Tyneside club's move for Benjamin Sesko. Leipzig haven't rejected the 75 million plus €5 million offer, but also haven't accepted it. They're negotiating on some of the payment terms. Talks continue over the structure of the deal. Sesko is open to both Newcastle and Manchester United and will make a decision in the coming days. His agent has travelled to Leipzig tonight for these talks with the German club. So there's been a lot of pro-United stuff out there in the media about Benjamin Sesko and that it will be a formality. But honestly, can Manchester United come up with the money to get Sesko before Newcastle at least have a chance to talk to the player directly? I don't know the answer to that. But they tried to get Isak, they were told no. They tried to get Liam Delap, he turned them down. They tried to get, I believe, EKITIKE, he didn't go. So Manchester United don't seem to know what they want, and they want nobody and everybody. But do they have the money to do it? Newcastle have the ability to go out there and sign Sesko right now and know that they have a willing buyer lined up in Liverpool for Isak. Some reports today from up in Newcastle have said that Newcastle will sell Darwin Nunez if they get Sesko or an adequate replacement in. I think that's absolutely on the money. Also, as we said, they need to get strikers in because they don't want to go into a season with none. They've just got that young guy, Osula, excuse my pronunciation, I'm not really sure of his name because I don't watch Newcastle that much, but they need to get somebody in. So I understand all of that, but ultimately I think this ends with Isak in a Liverpool shirt by the time the window closes. Whether that offer comes in this weekend, next week, I do think it'll be forthcoming, and I do think we'll get our man. That's what I think on it. But a little bit now on Ugo EKITIKE before we finish up. Graham Bailey has been speaking to TBR Football to say, I'm hearing that EKITIKE has slotted in so well. He's been part of the training squad for years by the looks of it, as in he's doing really well in there. He's been dazzling in many regards. I'm told that players are not shocked by his talent, but certainly some did not really grasp just how good he was. Liverpool's coaches are delighted with him. That's great news. Obviously, we'll get to see more of Ugo EKITIKE on Monday against Athletic Club Bilbao. We know he played in a 2 or is training in a 2 with Florian Wirtz over in Hong Kong and Japan. So looking forward to seeing him probably a little bit longer on the pitch on Monday. Now, if you are going to the game on Monday, do check the weather reports because Liverpool and others have put out an advisory warning around a storm that is headed to the UK. There's projected 40 or 50 mile per hour winds. So certainly if you're going to the game, do keep an eye on that one. Have a look at the club's official website to make sure that you get the very latest news on it. If you are heading to it, have a great time. And like I've mentioned, we will be doing, I think, our longest ever stream on the channel here on Monday, starting from 4 p.m, going right through to 10 p.m. when the games are over. And then, of course, all eyes are on the road to Wembley for next Sunday for the Community Shield between Liverpool and Crystal Palace before we get underway against Bournemouth in, it's going to be, less than 2 weeks now. So time's absolutely flying, folks. I will probably be off tomorrow, like I've said, unless something breaks. But we will have a news video coming out tomorrow evening. And if I don't see it tomorrow, I'll see you on Monday. Thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to reading your comments on the Darwin situation, Sesko, and of course Isak, and maybe those EKITIKE words from the training ground as well. Talk to you soon. Much love.